Sophia was disturbed about what her colleague and boss said in her office as she resumed after her illness. After work that day, Sophia went to buy a pregnancy test, and it showed positive. She still had doubts, so she went to the hospital to get a blood test, and it also showed positive. She really didn't know what to do, if she should tell her dad that she was pregnant for him and get her mum to kill her for wanting to take away her husband. After so many thoughts, she decided to go tell Vanessa. Vanessa advised her to tell her parents and she should get rid of the pregnancy, or she could just get married and pin it on Frank. Sophia wasn't ready to get rid of her first child, even though it came from an abominable act. She chose the second option, which was to pin the pregnancy on Frank. The next day, Sophia went to visit Frank. She tried to get him to sleep with her, but he refused because he knew she was a virgin, unknowing to him that she lost her virginity to her dad and got pregnant. Sophia did her best, but Frank said he wasn't going to ruin the promise she made to herself to remain a virgin till her wedding night. Frank encouraged Sophia to hold on for a few days to come. That evening, Sophia kept on crying as she was disappointed in herself. She knew she no longer deserved to be with such a good man. At work, while she was pondering over everything, Vanessa walked into Sophia's office and showed her a wedding invitation her cousin brother gave to her. At the sight of the wedding invitation, Sophia's stomach turned. "That is my wedding invitation," Sophia said to herself. Sophia's wedding invitation had no pictures. "Wait, you both have the same name," Vanessa said. "Wait, are you the one Frank is getting married to? Please tell me I'm wrong," Vanessa said with an eye that states this is not going to work. Tears again began running down Sophia's cheeks as she knew not what to say to Vanessa at the moment. Sophia remained silent and pinned her head on the chair. After a long silence, Vanessa stormed out of Sophia's office. Close to work closing hour, Sophia went to Vanessa's office to beg her not to tell Frank anything, but as expected, Vanessa turned it down and promised she was definitely going to put an end to the marriage. No matter how much Sophia pleaded, Vanessa even went on and insulted Sophia's family, saying they were evil and wanted to destroy other people's lives. Sophia left Vanessa's office, packed her things, and left before work closing hour. When Sophia got home, she called her mom and dad to inform them that she was pregnant for her dad. "You're pregnant for me?" Sophia's dad exclaimed, putting his hands on his chest like a gorilla who just won a convalesce. "I don't think I will want you to marry your husband again. I won't give you out to another man. You should stay with us," Sophia's dad said in excitement. Sophia was shocked at her dad's expression because she expected him to see that his own daughter getting pregnant by him would be an abomination. And another thing was the joy on her mother's face. Sophia thought she was going to hate her for getting pregnant for her dad, but she was happy. After giving it so many thoughts, Sophia came to a conclusion that they weren't both her parents, but to be sure she needed to carry out a DNA test. Sophia took her mum's toothbrush and her dad's hair to a hospital, and they carried out the DNA scan. To her greatest surprise, they were actually her biological parents. So, what is really the issue? Sophia asked herself severally. 4 days to Sophia's wedding, Sophia chose to tell her parents that she wasn't going to refuse marrying Frank, and she wanted to pin the pregnancy on him. Sophia's dad was really mad at Sophia and said a lot of disgusting things at her. To him, it wasn't right to let another man claim his child. Sophia refused to go his lane, and she told them her mind was made up and nothing was going to change it. Sophia's mum pleaded, but nothing happened. Knowing Sophia wouldn't give up, her dad threatened that if Sophia proceeded with the marriage, he would tell Frank, Sophia's fiancé, that he got her pregnant. At the moment, Sophia knew she was done fighting. It felt like the world had turned its back against her. She felt like The worst person on earth. Sophia gave it few thoughts, and she decided to go plead with her friend, Frank's cousin, not to tell Frank that her father got her pregnant. Sophia was surprised when immediately Vanessa saw her. She hugged her and told her she was on Sophia's side, and she had withdrawn her desire of reporting to Frank. Sophia was relieved, and it made Sophia tell Vanessa about what her dad had in mind to ruin her wedding, just to ensure she gave birth to his child in his house. Vanessa sympathized with Sophia and asked Sophia to go handle her parents and worry less of her. Sophia returned home happy, knowing that all she had left was her parents to fight with. Immediately, she got to the house. She opened the door, but was shocked to see Frank sitting in their parlor. "Babe, please tell me it's not true. Please tell me you didn't sleep with your dad, that you're still a virgin, that you don't know what they're talking about," Frank questions as he held Sophia's hand and kneels. Sophia burst into tears as she couldn't believe why her parents were so cold-hearted and selfish towards her marriage. Sophia didn't know what to say, so she only nodded to his questions. She quietly and sadly walked away with no further words. Sophia was shattered. She begged him as he walked to his car, but the sign on his face showed that he was done with her. Sophia felt ill again due to the heartbreak. The illness was serious that Sophia almost lost her pregnancy and was rushed to the hospital. 2 days after Sophia was administered to the hospital, Sophia fell into a coma. Her parents, on the other hand, were the only ones beside her. Even though Sophia was in a coma, she could still hear voices, although her body was laying almost lifeless. Unknowing to Sophia's parents, they began to have conversations that Sophia found amazing and shocking. Upon Sophia's wake, "Daddy, I told you do not do this at first, but your eagerness and greed for a male child is costing our daughter's life." Sophia's mom spoke to Sophia's dad, who sat on a chair adjacent to Sophia's bed. "She will scale through. It's not even my fault. She is the one who has refused to be strong enough," Sophia's dad replied to Sophia's mother. "So, after she gives birth, what will you do to her?" Sophia's mom asked with sympathy. "Well, we had a good plan to convince her into getting pregnant for me, so if she finally puts to bed, we can take the child and send her off to live her life," Sophia's dad replied and walked out. Few days later, Sophia woke up from her long coma. Sophia's brain immediately went to the conversation her parents had. She kept doubting if actually it was true, or just a dream. After Sophia was discharged, she decided to go to her village to go seek answers if actually their tradition demands such abominable act of fathers sleeping with their daughter after introduction and before proper marriage. At the village, Sophia visited many elders and married women, but none of them agreed or knew of such act. They even forbid ever participating in such act. Sophia returned immediately and confronted her parents. They kept begging Sophia, but Sophia knew they meant her no good. Sophia immediately packed her things and left for Frank's female cousin's place to stay. Over at Frank's cousin, Vanessa's house, Sophia explained everything, from the coma to her findings in the village. Vanessa consoled Sophia heavily and encouraged her. 2 weeks later, while Sophia was at the backyard washing her clothes, Sophia heard footsteps behind her back, and alas, it was Frank. It happened to be that after Sophia shared her story with Vanessa, Vanessa went to beg Frank to forgive Sophia without her consent. Frank accepted Sophia back, and since they had already done all the traditional rites and court signings, they only did the white weddings without Sophia's parents. They got married. Sophia was grateful to Frank for loving her and accepting her for who she was. After Sophia's wedding to Frank, Sophia thought she had finally found happiness and peace. But the trauma and abuse she had faced at the hands of her parents lingered, and she struggled to come to terms with what had happened. Sophia's parents, who had been absent from the wedding, were arrested and charged with incest and emotional abuse. The trial was a difficult and emotional experience for Sophia, but she was determined to see justice served. In the end, Sophia's parents were found guilty and sentenced to life in prison. Sophia felt a sense of closure and relief, knowing that her parents would never be able to hurt her again, but the experience had left its mark on Sophia. She struggled with anxiety and depression, and she had to work hard to rebuild her sense of self-worth. Frank was supportive and loving, but Sophia knew that she needed to take care of herself too. As Sophia navigated her new life with Frank, she also had to come to terms with the fact that she was carrying a child conceived through incest. Sophia was torn between her love for the child and her anger and shame towards her father. With the help of therapy and support groups, Sophia slowly began to heal. She learned to forgive herself and to recognize that she was not to blame for her parents' actions. When the baby was born, Sophia and Frank decided to raise the child as their own. They named the baby boy Hope and vowed to give him a happy and loving home. As Hope grew up, Sophia and Frank made sure to tell him the truth about his conception, but also to reassure him that he was loved and valued. Hope grew up to be a happy and well-adjusted young man, and Sophia and Frank were proud of the person he had become. Years later, Sophia would look back on her experiences and realize that they had made her the strong, compassionate, and resilient person she was today. She would always be grateful for the love and support of her husband Frank, and for the courage she had found within herself to overcome even the darkest of challenges.